with Dr. Vito Mena. He's going to talk to us about his expertise in sports and vision. Feel free to ask your questions, and then Dr. Jacobin and I will come on in a little bit and get your questions answered. See you soon.
All right. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys even bringing me on to this platform. And this is exciting because sports vision is something that a lot of people want to learn more about. And I'm excited to know that you were able to get a lot of the sports arena people on and the league. So that's crucial. And I'm going to talk a little bit on that. And so we're talking about focusing on sports and vision. So let me give you a little introduction on myself once I change my slide. So my background is I graduated from Pennsylvania College of Optometry in 2014. And the reason why I even entered optometry was because of a little niche called sports vision. And so ironically, after I graduated, I actually entered a private practice in New Jersey. And that practice actually saw the New York Giants, which is the NFL football team. And I was there for 2 years. And then I transitioned out of there and I became the sports vision director at Optical Academy, which is located in Clifton, New Jersey, which is about, I would say, 20 minutes from New York City. And so the reason why I transitioned there is because we can actually physically go into the school systems in both New Jersey and New York. And we're actually physically doing comprehensive eye exams in the school districts. So what I get to do is not only do I help the children get the accurate eyewear that they need, I get to talk to the teachers, the athletic directors, the coaches, the principals, the nurses on number one, eye health, and then telling them about sports contacts or just making sure that they get a comprehensive eye exam, what they do for concussion management. So I felt like I wanted to get someone in the little league to hopefully get into college and then get a college athlete into the pros. And so I wanted to make a name for myself in that sense. And so in the state of New Jersey, I'm one of the clinical directors for the Opening Eyes program, which for Special Olympics, which is we do volunteer work. We're giving back to those special athletes, and we're providing them with eye care that a lot of people just, number one, they don't take their insurance as doctors, or they just don't get the care that they need. So it's a beautiful program that started out. And a lot of these people that you see on the right-hand side, these are most of my mentors that have taught me along the way. So pretty much I've gathered a lot of information from them, and I'm bringing it back to all of you guys because, again, it's all a cumulative effort. And so if you notice that you think sports vision is mostly for guys, well, think again, because our future past president of the AOA Sports Vision section was actually Dr. Amanda Nancy. And so she actually practices in Miami, Florida, and she is the team doctor for the Miami Dolphins. So all of these all these gentlemen that you see there, they're optometrists, and they all work professionally with sports. So we're going to talk a little bit. I know I got like a half hour. There's so much information in sports vision, so I'll do my best diligence on it. So vision in sport, usually I'll ask the audience, who is the athlete that comes into your chair whenever you see them to come in the exam room? And so I'll wait for the responses usually. And so the answer really is that every single patient that you see in your exam chair is an athlete, because a lot of them, most of the time as doctors, we're thinking the athlete as either they're playing a sport in high school, in college, but how many of our kids in school are in gym class or playing little league? Or let's say if you're an adult, are still in basketball leagues, or they do triathlons, or they're on tennis teams, right? So our vision is very, very crucial. So every person that we see really has a need for sports vision or vision therapy or something along those lines to help them improve in their eyesight. And especially with glare coming on, with these high beams and the lights and everything like that, the elderly population complaining of glare. So talking about how to minimize all of that contrast is very, very crucial. So when it comes to vision versus vision, as we all know, the majority of people in the world think that 20/20 is perfect vision. As optometrists, we know that 20/20 is just normal. We know that we could actually see better than that. I'll usually ask the audience, what's the best visual acuity that we can actually see? And I wait for an answer, but the answer to that is actually 20/8, right? So if your patient is seeing 20/20, right, what athlete wants to see normal? No athlete wants to be normal. They want to be extraordinary. They want to be superb, elite. They want to have that extra edge no matter what it is, right? And so what happens is sometimes, let's say an athlete comes in your chair, and let's say as they got older, maybe let's say their vision was 20/10. right? But then over time, their vision became 20/20, and they go to the eye doctor and they're like, you know what? I'm not seeing as good as I once did. And the doctor might be looking at that person and being like, well, you're seeing 20/20 perfectly. But that and bringing a lot of this information to you guys. So usually I'll ask vision and sport, who are the athletes that come into your chair, right? And so usually the athletes that are coming into your chair is pretty much everyone that comes into your chair, because most of the time as doctors, we're usually thinking that it's the people that are in high school or playing college sports. But remember, a lot of kids are playing gym. But then again, as adults, people continue to play leagues. You got your tennis leagues, you got your basketball leagues, you get your triathlons, people who like to jog or swim. So our eyes are very, very demanding when it comes to sports vision. And so we're going to get into that in a little bit. So vision versus vision. Now, as we all know, most people think of 20/20 as perfect vision, right? That's the normal population. 20/20 is perfect vision. But as optometrists, we know that visual acuity is a lot better than 20/20. I'll usually ask the audience, what is the best possible visual acuity that we can actually achieve? And I'll wait for an answer. And the answer is usually, or the answer is 20/8. And so no athlete wants to be average. They want to be extraordinary, elite. They want to have the best vision possible. So, for example, if you had a patient in your chair that once saw when they were younger 20/10, but as they got older, their vision became 20/20, and they started complaining and like, I can't see as good as I once saw. And as the doctor, you're looking at that patient and being like, but you're seeing 20/20 perfectly, right? But that patient in reality lost 2 lines of vision. So we want to make sure that we're testing our athletes, all the patients in our chair, to the best possible vision that we can possibly give them. The reason why is because 15%, not sharing the latest, getting messages from them, not sharing the latest slide. Oh, let me stop sharing my screen. All right, let me go in. Can you guys hear me? Perfect. All right, you guys see me now. I'm gonna put my slides up. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Share screen. All right. All right. Hopefully my screens are up. So when we're talking to athletes, we want at least 15 vision-related skills that are needed for ours, and I'm going to get into that. So what I want you to look into is the bottom, the redefining vision, your visual calisthenics. That's your binocular vision, your accommodation, your eye tracking ability. Your sports-specific visual motor skills is your eye-hand coordination. Now, notice how I said eye-hand coordination and not hand-eye. So eye-hand coordination is because the eyes lead the body. In order for us to swing a bat, kick a ball, it's the eyes leading the body. So eye-hand coordination. Also your peripheral awareness, your reaction timing. So all of those things are important. Even minimizing visual noise. And the last thing is visualization. Now, this might sound silly to people, but athletes do this quite often. Visualization is pretty much them thinking to themselves, or they close their eyes and they're saying, like, let's say they're a basketball player, they're sitting on the bench and they're thinking about themselves hitting that game-winning shot. Or if there's someone, a skier, and they're pretty much visualizing themselves doing their turns every single time. So they visualize themselves performing at an elite level so that they can get hyped or ready for the game. So a lot of different components there. A lot of times athletes are also children, right? And so they're in the classroom as well. So when you say see clear, see better, see faster, we also want them to see more, observe more, and also learn more. So when it comes to sports vision training, as you can see, these are the different things that we can do. But remember those 15 eye-related things that we need for sports vision? Well, I like to think about it as a report card. And that report card is like, well, we only focusing on the acuity part. We need to also worry about how their eyes are focusing, how they team together, how they're tracking, are they aligned, the eye coordination, peripheral vision. So all of those things are crucial, because the athlete is not just looking at the letter right in front of them. They're looking at an object. They got the player moving, an object moving, they themselves are moving. So there's a lot of different things that are happening, and that we got to go into those things. On the left-hand side, this is the traditional way a normal exam performs. On the right-hand side, it's a little bit different, more with the visual performance side, and we would be testing more of those things. And I want to bring your attention to the bottom where it says eye discipline. So you're probably wondering, what is eye discipline? So think of this logically, or I'll give you an example. Mark McGwire, the former leader, home run leader, was battling Sammy Sosa for the home run record. What he would do before he got into the batter's box is that he would blink many times until he got into the box, and he would not blink at all. So he would not miss the pitch. So he would probe his mind to get to be aware of that, so that he would be able to make sure, because if you miss the pitch or if you blink, it's the fastest reflex that we have in our entire body. So if you blink, you pretty much miss the pitch, because a fastball coming at you at 95 miles per hour is about 430 milliseconds. So if you blink, you miss the pitch, right? And a little tidbit, if you foul off a pitch, you are 7 milliseconds too early or too late. So in baseball, it's very, very crucial to have their vision as best as possible. Prescribing. So a lot of doctors out there might not prescribe someone who's a minus 25 when they're nearsighted. But for an athlete, minus 25 is crucial, depending on the sport that they play. So versus a quarterback, let's say versus a lineman doesn't necessarily need to have elite vision. They just got to make sure that their hands move at a quicker rate. So if someone is minus a quarter at the batter's box, that could mean a double versus a strikeout, potentially. If you're hyperopic, you want to prescribe beginning at +1. And if you have astigmatism, you think about prescribing it at -0.5. And then more so oblique than with the rule, but whatever's comfortable to that patient. And we never want to forget about binocular balance as well. There's many different tints out there for different sports. And so I just wanted to show you a little guideline of different colors that you can utilize. Let's say you guys have no idea what color tint to use. You would always go with the most neutral one, which is gray. The reason why is because it doesn't get rid of all of the original colors of whatever that you're looking at, whether it's the trees. So if you never know what tint to go with for a sport, gray is your best bet. All right. But each sport has different tints to it. So for example, if you were a pilot, for example, you would not want a pilot to have polarized lenses, because what happens with polarization, all the gauges would disappear. Or if you were to go to the ATM with polarized lenses, and you might not be able to see the screen on there. Usually for polarization, you want it for water sports, more like fishing and things of that nature, or driving, right? And so again, sport specific tints for the appropriate positions that they're playing. Ocular emergencies. So for me, talking to the athletic trainer, making sure that if an eye injury were to happen, obviously they're not the experts when it comes to eye injuries, we are. So we got to make sure that they have the appropriate stuff to use whenever an injury occurs. So the biggest thing is, like, let's say they were to get a poke in the eye, or they need to cover the eye for whatever reason. You never want to really tape the eye or just put a cloth on the eye, because what happens is that if you were to put, let's say, the cloth on the eye, it's not allowing the oxygen to go through. You could actually make the actual whatever conditions happening worse. So that Fox shield has little holes in it so that it can breathe a little bit. And so these are just different things that we would put in. Obviously, you want to have extra contact lenses for an athlete, just in case they rip a pair or they lose one on the floor, some solutions or proparacaine if needed. So a lot of these different things, we're just educating the athletic training staff of just having on site. Doesn't mean that we necessarily have to be there, but at least it goes a long way. Protective eyewear. We all know that protective eyewear, if we were to wear protective eyewear, it would minimize about 90% of all eye injuries. But how many times do we see somebody wearing protective eyewear in sports? Rarely, never. So it's not an attractive thing, but it would minimize injuries dramatically. So on a logical level, you would think everyone should wear it, but it's just not the case. The reason why you see a box of bullets there, and the reason why it's there, is because a polycarbonate lens can actually withstand a .22 caliber bullet. On the helmets of for people who enjoy NASA, those their visors, they actually have polycarbonate on it. It's the most it can withstand the strongest thing possible on it, and so that's exciting. So just a little cartoon here of what happens versus different types of materials when it comes to lenses. So as you can see, that was a 100 plus mile hour fastball coming out of a machine. And look what happened to the different types of materials when it hit the lens. So polycarbonate is very, very impact resistant. And also Trivex, if you guys do Trivex. Visual training. Obviously, we all learned about sports vision and training. So there's a hierarchy that was created by Dr. David Kirshen and Dan Levy. They're sports vision specialists. And Dr. Kirshen was one of the people on the front of my slides that I was showing. And so there's a stepwise fashion. So whenever you build a house or a platform, you want it to be as sturdiest as possible. So sports vision, we think that we need to do something special in order to do sports vision. All of us as optometrists can do sports vision because we all do the basic necessity. The foundation is visual acuity and contrast sensitivity. So that's like white balls on different contrasts, right? We all do visual acuity. The next level is your stereo vision and your depth perception. So how accurately can you perceive the ball coming at you at a distance, right? Then your visual decision making. So that's the neural processing. That's where we get into more eye training gadgets, as for example, Neuro Tracker, which I'll get into in a little bit. And then the ultimate goal really is to be on the field with the actual athlete doing their whatever activity that they're doing for whatever position that they play to make sure that their eyes are working appropriately. So I put down the training regimen of if you were to do like sports vision training, how that would work. And usually sports vision training is an out-of-pocket expense, kind of like vision therapy. So profitability of sports vision in practice. If you look on that right-hand side, the NFL is valued at $13 billion. We all know that soccer or football in other countries, soccer is a worldwide sport. NFL blows out soccer by, you can see the numbers there. Most parents are willing to spend money on their children when it comes to sports. They're going to buy themselves the fancy cleats. They'll buy them a bat to help them hit better. The last thing that's on their mind is the actual child's vision. And so we got to make sure that they're seeing the best that they possibly can, because how many times do we see children that wear glasses that don't even wear contact lenses or sports goggles for their sports? When they don't have the appropriate eyewear, they're actually going to get injured quicker, because what's going to happen is their reaction timing is a lot slower. So most people think you need to spend a ridiculous amount of money to have sports vision done in their practice. Now, it's nice to have those gadgets. Obviously, the more you have, the better it is, but it doesn't mean that you can't start. Your basic sports vision screenings, like $300. If you want to add in a few pieces to the practice, will cost you about 30 grand. And if you want to have 5 key like instruments, would be 125,000 to the practice, right? And not only just the sports vision niche, now you're talking about supplementation. You're also talking about sunglasses, right? And so you're going to be talking about contact lenses. So it's a money maker in itself, because if you give them the why they need it, they're going to put the money out for it. But you have to educate them on the reasoning. So visual performance profile. So some of the gadgets that you can use. So M&S Technologies has their sports vision that you can use for contrast sensitivity or your visual acuity, obviously. The Synaptic Station, which I think people were talking about earlier, that's a pretty cool device. I think it's about $25,000 to own. And then Right-Eyed is another thing for eye tracking. So these are different gadgets that you can utilize in practice that you can help for your patients. That, again, honing on that synaptic. And so there's 10 components to it. And the reason why I have the ones in red there is because this tool or this program, if you're able to get it, will help actually return to play. So let's say someone were to suffer a concussion. So depth perception, target capture, perception span, and go, no go. Those 4 things can actually tell if a player can go back into their sport a lot quicker. So obviously you want to have pre and post tests. So you want to make sure that you do the testing before an accident were to happen or a concussion, and then do the testing afterwards to see what their baseline was. Neuro Tracker, if you haven't heard of it, that's that neural processing. It's a pretty cool device. It's about $6 grand. And you pretty much what you see is a bunch of tennis balls. So there's about 6 to 8. There's 8 tennis balls on it. And so what's going to happen is half of the tennis balls are going to light up. And what's going to happen is you want to make sure that you track all 4 of those objects. Now they're going to turn back to green. So first 8 are green. 4 of them are going to turn to orange. You got to remember which one are the orange ones. Then they're going to go back to green. You got to follow the balls in space, and then it could be a minute, 30 seconds. After that time, you're going to figure out what was those balls, where are they in space. So it's a pretty cool. So it gets your cognitive ability to react faster. Obviously, this is about esports and e-leagues. We had a whole conversation about it the whole day. If most people now, especially during the pandemic, have turned to sport to online gaming, right? And then there's Call of Duty leagues. There's all of these things. It's massive. It's an untapped market, especially in the eye world. Look at that. In 2017, net worth exceeding $650 million. By 2020, which we already passed that, 1.5 billion, just like where the NFL is, but the NFL is at 13 billion. All of these different sports performances are trying to get involved with esports so that they don't lose their edge on it. Because on the next slide, you're going to see now how the market is actually teaching with blue light blocking glasses. So Market Watch, how to invest. So a lot of people don't know I'm an optometrist, and I'm also licensed professionally in investments and insurance. And so Market Watch is obviously a site that shows, well, how are stocks and bonds doing, all that stuff. But look at this. It was a press release in 2022, the blue light blocking glasses market. In 2019, it estimated $22 million and expected to reach 38 million by the end of 2026. Most patients are just going online and buying blue light blocking glasses. We as professionals need to be on the front lines, educating our patients which ones they should be getting, not getting, with the impact, all of that stuff. It's very, very important. Now, all of these companies on the left-hand side of your see are in that space when it comes to blue light blocking glasses. The red ones are the ones that, in my opinion, would be ones that you would get for your blocking glasses. The ones in blue are obviously our industry. They're massive in our industry. And so they're always selling out different types of blocking glasses. And then other people are in the space as well. So people can go on and get any type they want, but there's not much knowledge or education on that space of which ones to get. If you look at Gins on top, over 12 million pairs have been sold worldwide. Zenni Optical sold nearly 2 million pairs of its blue light lenses. They actually partnered with the Call of Duty League. Whether you like Zenni Optical or not, people are buying their stuff. We need, again, to be on the front lines educating our patients or whoever about the impacts, the effects, all of those things. A big company out there is called Gunnar. And so Gunnar has a patent on their lenses. And what I just wanted to show, though, is that they have different tints ranging between 35 and 98. And the other thing that I wanted to bring to people's attention is that a lot of people are not aware of is that the insurance companies can actually use their either health savings accounts, their flex spending accounts, and their insurance companies to actually purchase glasses, blue light blocking glasses through Gunnar. So I just wanted just that to be heard. So again, they're comparing on this little graph here between their Oakley prisms and their gamer advantages, and then Zenni about the quality of their blue light filters. Another one out there in the space, which is good, if not better than Gunnar, it would be Gamer's Advantage. And so Dr. Joseph Allen, if you haven't followed him, I would highly recommend that you do. He has his own YouTube channel called Dr. Eye Health, and he talks about the Gamer Advantage glasses. He gives a good profile on it. And so we all know that peak intensity is about 400 nanometers when it doesn't affect the eye. And we all know that blue light blocking glasses is really for our melatonin, so it doesn't disrupt it so that we can sleep better. And so according to the statistics, based on the survey from Gamer Advantage, over 2,000 people in the study, they said 99% of them felt more relaxed indoors when they had the glasses on. 98% significant sleep improvement and 96% increased melatonin levels in just 5 days. So those are just those statistics. So I'm a pretty big fan on Gamer's Advantage. Doesn't mean that you can't get with other ones, but just in some information for all you guys. And look, this is just studies that are done out in the world. the new frontier of esports and gaming, a scoping meta review of health impacts. So what are the impacts of you just gaming all day, every day, right? And so this thing is going to be consistent. We're going to be seeing a lot more data coming out, how it not only affects our eyes, but our entire body. Does it lead to obesity because you're not moving around, right? So there's different things that we got to get into. Not only is e-gaming a big one, well, now virtual reality is another one, right? And so this is something called Win Reality, which is something that can help train and give you metrics when it comes to hitting a baseball or pitching or being a catcher, right? And so with Win Reality, you could be just doing it from your home. You don't have to be on the actual baseball field. And so you have better plate discipline, about 8% better, 7 times faster skill development, 23% winning percentage as a club, right? And so those are big numbers. Those are important things for us to see. So sports vision is a whole bunch of stuff. It's contact lenses, it's virtual reality, it's e-gaming, it's blue light blocking glasses, it's your concussion management. There's a whole concoction of different things that we need to tap into to help our patients. But the biggest real thing is the education component. And this is my last slide. So my only encouragement to everybody is that we are forever a patient, a doctor, an advocate, and a student, because we got to continue to learn and get all the new information that's coming out there, because it's coming at us a mile a minute. And so these 6 different sites here, these are places that you can get more information on sports vision. These are books that I've read that you can help, or if you're interested in learning more about sports vision, I would highly recommend reading some of these, because again, knowledge is power, but it's not really the knowledge, it's the application of the knowledge. And so that's pretty much it. I'm sure some people have some questions, and hopefully my slides went through and we were okay.
It was great. We made it. And I'm just going to get Dr. Jacobin on stage with me, because I know as an optometrist, she definitely has a lot better questions that she can ask. But, what I really love about you, Dr. Mena, is not only are you an expert in sports vision, but you are an expert in finance as well. And, obviously we're here to talk about patient advocacy and making sure that, parents and, communities can be aware of this. But you probably know better than I do that today, locally owned eye doctors and optical shops, they're looking for a way to differentiate themselves. How big do you think this opportunity is? And how can a local eye doctor or optical shop even tap into like their local sports organization, so that they can uncover the need and see what type of opportunities there are?
Sure, yeah. So again, you saw the numbers. It's $1 billion industry in the esports world, and then just in the glasses alone, they're projecting 38 million, right? So it's an untapped market that's starting to blow up, and it's going to continue to blow up, because screens we're inevitably going to be on screens all the time. When are we not going to be on a screen, right? And so again, it's more of we're going to see the studies long term. What are these effects going to happen? So when I was at Vision Expo West, I think Oakley came out with their gaming glasses, the Oakley Prism gaming glasses, and that was the first time it's been introduced. But gaming's been around for a very long time. Why now all of a sudden, right? And so again, things are blowing up. People are trying to get up to speed on everything like that. If we're not up to speed, we're going to fall behind. So what it comes down to is really the education that you provide, and also being an advocate for your community, going to your local little leagues, or going to the YMCA and maybe putting up a flyer and saying, hey, we can possibly offer these things, or give some statistics, right, on that. That would be my biggest advice to somebody in whatever area that you're in, is because if you don't go out to the community to tell them what you're doing, how are they going to find you? Or if it's not on your websites, right, how are they going to find you, right? They're just going to find whatever information that they feel is best to them, and they're just going to go with it.
Sure, absolutely. And so as somebody who works with a lot of low-income patients, I'm wondering if, this is if there's something that you can suggest for patients who maybe are struggling financially, but still want to have, this access. Do you know of any programs? Who would you suggest they turn to?
So programs, I mean, I don't want to toot my own company, well, the company that I represent, but right now we have we work with the Education Association, right? And so everything stems from the school systems. All the kids are in schools, right? And so who are the students attached to? Well, obviously the parents. And who are the parents attached to? The grandparents, right? So we work with the Education Association, which is the NEA, which is the National Education Association. The New Jersey Education Association is the largest in the entire country. And so we have the network. They would only work with our company, so we can actually physically go into the school districts, because again, we got to give the education first, right? Sometimes we can even do free eyewear, right? But the other thing is that we need the doctors in different states, different countries, to implement this so that they can take on their local territories, so that they can impact the community and then bring them back into their own practices that they have. And so this is really a team effort, really, so that we can help everybody, because as you know, in the low income families, they either don't have insurance, they break their glasses. Well, I guess you're not getting glasses for the next 2-3 years, right? And so it's difficult out there. And so if we can implement all these programs, especially as this whole platform, I think they're giving out free glasses to children in vision development. All of the funds are going out to that so they can get glasses, right? So for the lower income families, they know and don't know that these things exist. They may want these things, but just can't afford it, right? But right now, they just got to put food on the table, and they just got to just get them glasses just to begin with. First, we got to get them to see before we think of anything else, right?
Well, and just to clarify, the funds that are raised by Children in Vision Development are going towards screeners, which fall into the education piece. But I think there are lots of great organizations out there that provide eyewear to children in need. And it would be great to, and I'm sure you know a lot of them as well, to connect with some of those organizations, because believe me, we're going to be getting those calls. How do we provide resources to kids in need? And Dr. Lamott's foundation is designed for education, not necessarily for providing the hardware or the eyewear. So it would be great to know. And there's so many great organizations out there. Even some of the biggest companies, they really do have an amazing philanthropic arm. I know even just Esler had the foundation. They do have a really good program that is very philanthropic and hyper local. So maybe it's a good time to kind of see where those organizations are, so we can make sure that we're making those right connections.
Yeah, for sure. Well, 1,000%. We need all the help we can, all hands on deck. And so this is a wonderful platform that you guys created, and I'm happy to be a part of it. And I can't wait for the next one.
Awesome. So we're just going to wrap up. If anybody has any questions, feel free to let us know. And all right. Well, we got one last little session. We'll be showing IQ, our sponsor, who's offering a really great, easy vision screening devices. We'll be showing a little word from them. And then thank you for all of us who stuck it out all day today.